I just saw something pop up on. I just saw a post pop up from Axios saying that apparently there were these discussions behind the scenes that if Joe Biden were somehow elected to a second term, he'd probably have to finish that term in a wheelchair. They knew how far gone he was. And lied and lied and lied, yeah. Sometimes you just can't hide the truth. Anyhow, just something for you. Joining me now, Dr. Robert Malone, author of PsyWar, Enforcing the New World Order. He's back with us. Dr. Malone, thank you for being here.
Good morning, Steve. It's good to see you. I hope everything's going good wherever you are in the world.
It's going great. I think we dodged a bullet, obviously, with Joe Biden. It's remarkable how well they're able to hide these things in this day and age about his health. I mean, you spend your time looking at people's health. It was clear for a very long time that President Biden was not fit to continue. I'm not sure he was fit to begin, let alone fit to continue. But it's remarkable how much people will lie to us, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And the chapters in the history books about the Biden presidency are not going to be very pretty. I've heard many people talking about this as the savior of many past presidents that have underperformed. It may be that Joe Biden is at the bottom of the stack in terms of American presidents.
Yeah.
Corruption, what happened in Ukraine, his son, the auto pen pardons. It just, in retrospect, it's amazing that we tolerated this, and we tolerated it because of corporate media basically shilling for him.
Let's talk about that auto pen for a moment, shall we? I mean, that auto pen apparently was the vehicle by which pardons were handed out to people like Dr. Anthony Fauci, who, in retrospect, we know, it's pretty clear, lied in front of Congress to Senator Rand Paul repeatedly. I mean, repeatedly. And he said, I don't want a pardon. I noticed he didn't turn it back in. You're not required to take the pardon, right? You don't have to accept it. You can say, I'm not interested in that. You can reject that. What do you think, in retrospect now, of all the people, of all the people that were involved playing puppet master during COVID, of shutting everything down and demanding that things happen, and Anthony Fauci behind the wall, sending out emails telling people not to, talk about this and to lie about that. I mean, he was caught. Was he not, Doctor?
Yeah, I know that there's a active investigation ongoing in under Tulsi Gabbard, and there's also an active investigation at FBI. And the core issue in the DNI, the issue is the origins of the virus, and at FBI, it's specifically about Tony Fauci. And the core issue is whether or not he can be prosecuted. But the thesis seems to be that he did perjure himself, and he seems to have violated various federal conflicts of interest clauses having to do with commercial activity. He clearly enriched himself as an employee of the federal government in many ways. His net worth apparently really popped by many millions immediately after he left the federal government, after being compensated with the largest salary of any federal employee for years and years and years. And then we have these odd things like this anonymous letter from an NIH official that was published in the Disinformation Chronicles that has the titillating fact that apparently Tony Fauci had a picture of the Godfather character up on the wall in his office. He seems to self-identify with that character. And it is how he behaved. He behaved as if he was running a mafia.
As you look back now, not everybody got a pardon. And your book is, your book is pretty well on target about these things. The PsyWar, Enforcing the New World Order, psychological bioterrorism, deep state censorship, surveillance capitalism, administrative state objectives, fifth generation warfare, PsyWar tactics, techno-totalitarianism, all of these things, Doctor. So here's the thing. There was a report, I want you to weigh in on this, that this COVID event was kind of on the calendar for 2025, according to these accounts that I've read, right? They had kind of gamed this out for this year. But somehow they had a mistake. Somebody kicked over the can in 2019 and kind of stumbled through Wuhan, right? They fell down in the lab, and then they went over to the wet market to have lunch, and next thing you knew, a bunch of people were getting sick, right?
Yeah.
Well,
It's
here's my question. Did they do it accidentally? And they tried to say, well, we've planned for it, but we're behind, and they scrambled to try to kind of do all these things, lock us down, wear masks, take vaccines, all these things. They had planned for it, but all of a sudden they stubbed their toe. Does that make sense the way I'm explaining it?
What it doesn't account for that theory is that the federal government had a pandemic plan in place, a written pandemic plan, and instead they seem to have jettisoned it in a moment's notice, and then I don't know how else to put it, assimilated, embraced the plan that had been implemented by the Chinese Communist Party with their lockdowns and more severe authoritarian measures. So it's really still a great mystery why key leaders in the first Trump administration just went all in on implementing the China-based solution for population management, as opposed to the plans that have been put in place that were much more circumspect, much more targeted, much more aligned with international norms and epidemiology science than this authoritarian, heavy-handed response that we saw in China. And then
you ask how they all went in on the. I think we can all agree, in retrospect, looking at Donald Trump's first administration, it is wholly different from his second.
Yes.
I think it's fair to say that he brought in a whole host of people that he would not bring in this time around because he didn't know, frankly, the game in Washington. He was not a Washington guy, he's a New York guy. And he trusted people. He took advice, bad advice from bad people, a lot of which turned around and wrote books about stabbing him in the back and how much money they could make. I mean, right? I mean, a lot of people came in, they were there long enough to say terrible things about him and sell books. So maybe that was all part of the deal. He had bad people around him in the first administration. A lot more than now, wouldn't you say?
He did. And, Donald Trump is a sophisticated, battle-hardened New York developer. That's got to be about as hard a case as you could make. And yet he still got rolled, basically, when he got to D.C. D.C. culture is wicked. And it's still wicked. It's not changed. The quest and thirst for power will lead people to do all kinds of crazy things. And that's still at play in the current situation. D.C. exists.
It is, but hold that thought, Doctor. We're going to come back because I do want you to compare how Donald Trump has developed. Yeah, he got rolled the first time. I think that's a fair way to put it. He may or may not agree with that, but I think that that's true by bad people. But it's a different day today. We'll be right back. Dr. Robert Malone here on the Steve Gruber Show. All right, back on the Steve Gruber Show. Dr. Robert Malone here with me, author of PsyWar, Enforcing the New World Order, The Crimes of Anthony Fauci. Doctor, I want to take a completely different approach here for a second. Yesterday, we saw Donald Trump sign an executive order giving America most favored nation status, reducing the cost of prescription drugs. I think that's an important step, right? We're no longer subsidizing all the socialist governments of Europe. I think it's a smart move. Let me just ask you this. We've got COVID that we can reflect on, and the mistakes were made, and we're pretty certain that we were lied to by Anthony Fauci and a host of other folks. And we had bad folks in the first Trump administration. But as you, as a medical professional, you look down there, what are some of the things you would like to see happen in America, maybe globally, to make the health of the average human being on this planet better going forward? What can we learn from COVID? What can we learn from what we've done? What can we learn and do as the Trump administration, as America being the leader of the global everything. How can we lead on medicine and make the world a healthier place? What would you like to see happen? Let's take a positive turn on this.
Okay, positive. So things that we can do. I love that you're advertising a weight loss program and not to um,
Not drugs.
tie in the commercial side, but I think weight loss is crucial, and the American diet has been exported across the world, and we've seen an explosion of people being overweight across the world as they have McDonald's and other uh, suppliers that produce highly processed foods and fast foods have moved into the major urban centers of virtually every nation in the world. So, better food, weight loss, a focus on healthy living. And I personally think that one of the trends that's going on across the world that we need to counter is the influence of the electronic media that we're bombarded with. I'm not talking about 5G effects. Those certainly could be an issue. It hasn't been well documented yet. But I think that we need to come back together as human communities, connecting with each other, as opposed to the vision of Facebook that we're all going to be surrounded by artificial intelligence based friends
Yeah, I
that
saw
will
that.
social needs.
I don't need any
So,
more friends. I certainly don't need AI friends. I'll tell you that. Anyhow, go
so
ahead. That's
connecting
good
with
stuff.
each other, better diet. Uh, One of the things that's happened that I think we can fight, and that's the purpose of the book, and that's become basically my mission, is to try to teach people about how they're being mentally manipulated
Oh,
by
yeah.
media. And we need to break that cycle. We need to learn these techniques and strategies so that we're no longer susceptible to them. It all interlaces because it's of course these same tools that have been developed for political manipulation that are called fifth generation warfare or PsyWar. They're
Yeah.
also now being used in a widespread fashion for marketing by the pharmaceutical industry, by big ag, by all kinds of entities. This technology, coupled with artificial intelligence, is penetrating down through the entire marketing ecosystem.
You know,
And to get
I think
away,
you're exactly right. We're being bombarded with information every day. Every day. And I can just go back to the basic food pyramid. We were bombarded with that. It was completely wrong. Everything about it was wrong, right? About nutrition and so
all
forth.
upside down.
Yeah.
It's an upside down pyramid.
Completely upside down, and yet we were bombarded with that. You know, after Eisenhower had his heart attack, oh, you can't eat salt. Salt will kill you. Don't eat eggs. Eggs are bad for you. I mean, come
And
on.
steak. They put him on steak and eggs. Uh, Now it's the hot diet, right?
Right.
We call it paleo. Yeah. So uh, one that's another thing I think that we can do in a positive way is step back a little bit. Don't be so caught up in the stream of information and the latest science trademark, but rather rely on time tested practices, ethics, things like communities of faith. Rely on these time tested, focus on the family. These are things that we can do in our daily lives to really improve our health, our mental health in particular, and to build strength and resiliency within our communities. I think that is the way forward personally.
No, I think
Is
you're right, and spend a lot less time on these damn things, right? A lot less time
precisely,
on these devices because
precisely.
look, how healthy can that be? I mean, it has your brain click 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 because I mean, not only do the food companies have ways to make sure you eat all their food because of salt and sugar and fat, and they balance it out. It's all science. Same thing with these. They just want you staring at their little machines so they can control the way you think. That is the essence of the PsyWar. And enforcing the New World Order is getting you to listen to their messages. But I agree with you. Obesity. That's probably the biggest thing that I see every day. We're a different species than we were 40 years ago. Get rid of the obesity, better food products, scale down on electronic media, spend more time with family. This is what your mom told you. Your
Well,
mom was
and
right,
Steve,
right?
my my personal angle here is get out and work with your body, work with your hands, get back in the, go back to the country, my friends,
Yeah,
go hiking. Remember the 70s movement
sure.
where we were all going hiking and spending time in nature and embracing that and embracing, I get so much pleasure just from bird song. There are so many things out there for free that are real. And if you get out there and start working with your body, you're going to get healthier in your mind and in your soul and in
Great
your physical.
advice. Great advice. Dr. Robert Malone, author of PsyWar, Enforcing the New World Order. Look, it's why we go fishing. I can trust the natural world. I don't know if I can trust anything on this machine, but I can
Right.
trust if I grow a tomato and catch a fish. That I can trust. The natural world can still be trusted. We need to connect with it more. Go barefoot, my friends. Enjoy the day. Dr. Robert Malone, thank you for the positive spin.
Thanks for having me on, Steve.
Always appreciate him. He's right. Obesity, that's the number one. That's the biggest killer of all right now. All things stem from that. Anyhow, get outside, enjoy the sunshine. It's the Steve Gruber Show.